Never leave your dog alone without doing this. Your dog has been trying to tell you something every single day, and there's a good chance you've been missing it. It happens in the last 60 seconds before you leave the house, the moment you pick up your keys, put on your shoes, or reach for a jacket. Most people think their dog is just clingy or dramatic. Science suggests something far more specific is going on inside that dog's brain. Something that, once you understand it, will completely change what you do before you walk out the door. Why this matters more than you think. Millions of dogs spend hours alone every week while their owners work, run errands, or simply live their lives. For most of us, leaving the house is a logistical non-event. We grab our bag, we go. But for a dog, the departure of their person can trigger a cascade of physiological stress responses that most owners never see, because by the time we're home, the dog looks perfectly fine again. This is one of the most misunderstood relationships in the entire dog-owner dynamic. Owners often assume that if a dog isn't destroying furniture or barking non-stop, it must be handling alone time well. But researchers who study canine behavior have found that distress can be almost completely silent. A dog can be pacing, drooling, or trembling with no witnesses at all, and the only evidence left behind is a slightly faster greeting at the door, which most people read as excitement rather than relief. Understanding what's actually happening biologically during those alone hours isn't about guilt. It's about giving you the tools to make that time genuinely okay for your dog, not just quiet. The science, what's actually happening in your dog's brain. To understand separation, you first have to understand attachment. Dogs are one of the only species on Earth that form the kind of secure base attachment to humans that human infants form to their caregivers. This isn't a metaphor, it's a measurable psychological phenomenon. Researchers studying dog-owner bonds have used modified versions of the strange situation test, originally designed to study infant attachment to parents, and found strikingly similar patterns in dogs toward their owners. When the person leaves the room, exploratory behavior drops. When the person returns, dogs use them as a secure base to feel safe again before resuming normal behavior. This attachment system is ancient and deeply wired. Dogs evolved alongside humans for tens of thousands of years, and unlike their wolf ancestors, dogs developed a unique dependency on human companionship for safety, resources, and social structure. That dependency isn't a flaw, it's the same evolutionary trait that allowed the species to move into human homes in the first place. But here's where it gets interesting. Neuroscientist Jaak Panksepp identified several core emotional systems that exist across mammals, including dogs. One of them is called the panic and grief system, a primal circuit responsible for the distress mammals feel when separated from an attachment figure. This isn't the same as fear of a threat. It is a distinct neurological alarm whose entire job is to detect social separation and generate urgency to reunite. When a dog is left alone, this system can activate even if nothing dangerous is happening in the environment at all. The danger, from the dog's nervous system's point of view, is the absence of you. Hormonally, studies measuring cortisol, the body's primary stress hormone, have found elevated levels in dogs during and after alone time, particularly in dogs that show behavioral signs of distress. But, and this is a detail almost nobody talks about, some dogs show elevated cortisol with almost no outward behavioral signs whatsoever, which means a dog can look completely calm on camera and still be under real physiological stress. We'll come back to why that matters in a moment, because it changes how we should judge whether a dog is actually doing fine. What your dog is really communicating. When your dog follows you from room to room in the 20 minutes before you leave, that is not neediness in the way we usually use the word. It is information gathering. Dogs are extraordinary readers of routine and sequence. They do not understand work or errands, but they absolutely understand patterns. And they have learned that certain sequences of human behavior predict departure. Picking up keys, putting on shoes, grabbing a specific bag. These become what behaviorists call predictive cues, And a dog's shadowing behavior right before you leave is often an attempt to monitor and, if possible, delay a change they have learned to anticipate. Once you are actually gone, the behavior varies enormously depending on the individual dog, and this is where owners often misread the signal. A dog that barks intermittently for the first 10 minutes and then goes quiet is not necessarily fine. Quiet can mean the dog has settled, or it can mean the dog has shifted into a different stress state that simply does not vocalize. A dog that sleeps in a doorway or near an exit rather than a cozy bed is not choosing comfort over convenience. Proximity to the point of your eventual return can itself be a coping behavior. And the frantic greeting at the door when you come home? For most dogs, that is not pure joy. It is the resolution of the panic and grief activation described earlier, a genuine neurological relief response, not just excitement about a walk or a treat. Common myths and what the evidence actually shows. The most persistent myth in this entire topic is that dogs destroy things out of spite or to get back at their owner for leaving. There is no credible scientific evidence supporting this. Dogs do not appear to possess the cognitive machinery for retaliatory planning of that kind. What actually explains most destructive behavior during alone time is a combination of anxiety-driven behavior, understimulation, and in some cases, genuine separation-related distress. Chewing, digging, and scratching near doors and windows are classic markers of an attempt to reach the owner or relieve stress, not an act of revenge. The second myth is the idea of canine guilt, that classic head down, ears back, avoiding eye contact look that dogs give when a mess is discovered has been studied directly. Researchers found that this guilty look appears regardless of whether the dog actually did anything wrong. It appears simply because the owner is acting upset. In other words, what looks like guilt is more accurately a submissive appeasement response to a human's tone and body language, not evidence of the dog understanding it did something wrong hours earlier. The third myth is that giving a dog tough love, ignoring whining, crying, or clinginess before departure, teaches independence. The evidence on this is more nuanced than either extreme camp likes to admit. Simply ignoring the behavior doesn't address the underlying arousal system driving it. And in dogs with genuine separation-related distress, ignoring the behavior without addressing the root cause tends to do very little. What actually works is far more specific, and it has almost nothing to do with discipline. What you should actually do. This is the part that changes everything, and it starts before you even reach for your keys. Break the predictive cue chain. Because dogs learn to associate specific pre-departure actions with your absence, you can reduce anticipatory stress by decoupling those cues from actual departure. Pick up your keys and sit back down. Put on your shoes and make coffee. Do this repeatedly at random times when you're not actually leaving. Over time, these cues stop reliably predicting distress, which lowers the intensity of the anticipatory spike. Give your dog a job before you go, not just a toy. A stuffed food puzzle or a slow feeder given right as you're about to leave does two things. It engages the seeking system, another of Panksepp's core emotional circuits associated with motivated, rewarding exploration, and it shifts your dog's brain state from anticipatory anxiety toward focused, appetitive engagement. Timing matters here. Giving the enrichment item 5 or 10 minutes before departure, rather than exactly at the door, helps the positive state carry through the transition instead of being interrupted by it. Practice genuinely low-key departures and arrivals. This doesn't mean coldly ignoring your dog. It means keeping your energy calm and unremarkable, rather than turning departures and reunions into emotionally charged events. Highly charged goodbyes and greetings can actually train a dog's nervous system to treat departure as a significant, alarming event, because your own emotional intensity is one of the clearest signals a dog reads. Build alone time tolerance gradually, the way you'd build any skill. For dogs with a real struggle around solitude, gradual desensitization, leaving for a few seconds, then minutes, slowly extending the duration while keeping the dog under threshold, has strong support in the behavioral literature as one of the most effective non-medical interventions available. This is slow, unglamorous work, but it directly rewires the association between alone and unsafe. Watch the entrance to your home, not just the dog's face. Scratches on doors, worn spots on windowsills, or damage concentrated specifically near an exit point is one of the clearest physical signs of separation-related distress, even in dogs who show no other behavioral symptoms. This is far more reliable evidence than whether your dog seems sad when you leave, because dogs are notoriously good at masking overt distress signals around humans. Know when this becomes a job for a professional. If your dog shows signs like self-injury, complete refusal to eat when alone, extreme vocalization, or panic-level attempts to escape, that's beyond the range of enrichment toys and calm departures. Veterinary behaviorists can assess whether medication alongside behavior modification is appropriate, and there's no shame in that. Separation-related distress is a real clinical condition, not a training failure on your part. Surprising facts that change the picture. Here's something most people don't expect. Research comparing dogs to their nearest living relative, wolves, has found that wolf pups actually show less separation distress from a human handler than dog puppies raised in nearly identical conditions. This suggests that heightened sensitivity to human departure isn't simply a byproduct of dependency. It may be a trait specifically shaped by domestication itself, something evolution selected for because dogs whose survival depended on staying attuned to humans outcompeted dogs who didn't. Another detail that surprises people: studies using heart rate monitoring have found that some dogs show a measurable spike in heart rate the moment an owner simply stands up from a chair with intent to leave a room, before any door is open, before any keys have jingled. The anticipatory system is that fast and that sensitive to subtle shifts in human posture and movement. And one comparison that reframes the whole topic: the same panic and grief circuitry responsible for separation distress in dogs is remarkably conserved across mammals. The same basic system exists in species ranging from rodents to primates to humans, which means that when your dog struggles with your absence, it isn't a quirky, illogical dog thing. It's one of the oldest, most universal mammalian responses there is, running on hardware your dog shares with almost every social mammal on the planet, including you. The final takeaway: the moments before you walk out the door are not a footnote in your relationship with your dog. They are one of the clearest windows into how that relationship actually works at a biological level. A dog that watches you gather your things isn't being needy. It's running a prediction system shaped by tens of thousands of years of evolution, layered with an individual lifetime of learning your specific patterns. None of this means you need to feel guilty every time you leave the house. It means the small 5-minute adjustments, breaking the predictive cue chain, offering the right kind of engagement at the right moment, and keeping your own energy calm aren't just training tricks. They're a direct conversation with one of the oldest emotional systems your dog has. The more we understand what's actually happening in that quiet space between the door closing and the door opening again, the less mysterious our dogs become, and the more precisely we can show up for them, even when we're not in the room.